On the day I married the man who truly saw me, my own son and his wife turned our celebration into a public spectacle of cruelty. In front of over 350 guests, they ridiculed my groom, labeling him worthless, a nobody, and worse, claiming he was after my non-existent fortune. His wife's relatives joined in, their laughter echoing like knives. I felt my heart shatter as humiliation washed over me in waves. Trembling with a rage I'd buried for decades, I rose and ordered them all to leave. Security escorted the group out amid protests and threats. As the doors closed behind them, my new husband placed a steady hand on my shoulder and spoke words that turned my world upside down. "Darling, I'm actually extremely wealthy, but there's so much more to this story than money." Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel where I share real-life tales of heartbreak, strength, and unexpected turns. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and give this a like. It really helps. Stick around till the end. You won't believe how things unfolded. My name is Margaret, though most people call me Maggie. At 62, I never imagined I'd be standing at an altar again. After losing my first husband to illness 17 years earlier, I'd spent years in quiet solitude, working long shifts as a homemaid, saving every penny for a modest retirement, and quietly aching for connection. Then I met Tom Harlan. He was 65, gentle, with weathered hands from decades of carpentry, and a warm smile that made me feel seen. He drove a plain sedan, lived in a cozy rented cottage, and dressed simply. But his kindness felt like sunlight after endless rain. I didn't care about his bank account. I cared that he listened, that he made me laugh, that he held my hand like it was precious. The venue was stunning, a grand garden hall with draped white fabric, crystal chandeliers, and floral arches I'd paid for with 30 years of careful savings. Guests filled the seats. Old neighbors, former coworkers, a handful of distant relatives. Everything felt perfect until the whispers started. From the front rows where my son Victor sat with his wife Lena, the snide remarks began. Victor, 40, always sharp in tailored suits and flashy watches, had long preached that success meant wealth above all else. Lena, 37, wore an expensive crimson gown and carried herself with practiced superiority. Her family, known for flashy displays despite questionable dealings, filled nearby tables. "Look at him," Lena murmured loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. "She's marrying a handyman. How tragic." Her mother, Gloria, chuckled behind a jeweled hand. "At her age? Desperate times, I suppose." I clenched my bouquet, cheeks burning, but kept my eyes on Tom. He squeezed my fingers gently, his calm anchoring me. The officiant spoke of enduring love, but the giggles continued. Comments about Tom's cheap shoes, his thrift store jacket. They treated the ceremony like entertainment. Then came the vows. Tom's voice was steady and sincere. "Maggie, you've brought light back into my days. I offer you my loyalty, my care, and every tomorrow I have." A few guests sighed, touched, but Victor snorted loudly. He stood, glass in hand, slightly unsteady from pre-ceremony drinks. "This is ridiculous, Mom. You're throwing your life away on this nobody?" The room froze. Phones emerged. Lena rose beside him, smirking. "He's right. That's not a husband. That's charity case material." The laughter exploded from her side of the family. My chest tightened. Something deep inside snapped. Not despair, but fury. I stepped forward, but what I said next and what Tom revealed changed everything forever. Don't go anywhere. Part 2 is where the real storm begins. The ballroom went deathly quiet after Victor's outburst. 350 pairs of eyes locked on us. My son's face held that familiar, smug confidence, the same look he'd worn since childhood when he thought he'd won. Lena stood with arms folded, her family still snickering behind her. I felt every sacrifice flash before me. Years of double shifts so Victor could attend private schools, skipped vacations to pay his college fees, nights alone after his father passed, while Victor built his successful life far away. "Victor," I began.
my voice steadier than I felt. "You're right about one thing. Truth needs to be spoken today." I turned to face the room. "For 37 years, I was married to your father. I cleaned houses, scrubbed floors, ironed strangers' clothes so you could have the best. I gave up my dreams, my health, my youth for you. When your dad died, I was left with nothing but memories and an empty house. Do you remember how often I drove hours to visit? How many holidays I spent alone because you were too busy with Lena's family?" Victor shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, don't turn this into drama." "Drama?" My laugh was sharp. "Drama is calling me on my birthday only to ask for money. Drama is ignoring my pleas for company while you bought another luxury watch. Drama is treating me like an ATM instead of a mother." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some guests nodded, others glared at Victor. Lena stepped closer, heels clicking. "Always playing the martyr, Maggie. Victor has his own life. He can't coddle you forever." "Coddle me?" The word stung. "I never asked to be coddled. I asked for basic respect, for love, the same love I poured into raising you." Tom remained near the altar, watching quietly, his presence giving me courage. I continued, voice rising. "And now, when I've finally found someone who values me, not my money, not my usefulness, but me, you come here to mock him, to humiliate us both."
Victor pointed at Tom. "He's a gold digger, Mom. Look at him. He probably wants your savings. Wake up." Lena's father, a loud man with a perpetual cigar scent, shouted agreement. "Protecting your assets, son. That's all this is." "Assets?" I spat. "Since when do you care about my assets? When I needed help with medical bills 3 years ago, you said you were broke, yet you bought that sports car the next month. When I asked for a small loan for roof repairs, you charged interest like I was a stranger." The disapproval in the room grew audible. My longtime friend Clara wiped tears from her eyes. Lena sneered. "You're old, alone, and pathetic. You latched onto the first man who smiled at you." That was it, the final crack. I walked to Tom, took his hand, and faced the crowd. "Victor, Lena, and every single one of your family who laughed along, leave now. This is my wedding. I paid for it. I decide who stays." Victor blinked in shock. "You're kicking out your only son?" "Yes," I said coldly. "And if you can't respect my happiness, you have no place here." Lena laughed hysterically. "This is insane." "5 minutes," I told the venue manager, who signaled security. Chaos erupted. Shouts, chair scraping, accusations. Clara stood up. "If you had any shame, you'd go quietly. What you're doing is disgusting." More yelling, but eventually they filed out, dramatic and loud, promising revenge and gossip. When the doors shut, silence fell. I trembled. I'd just severed ties with my only child. My grandchildren? Would I ever see them again? Tom pulled me close. "You were magnificent," he whispered, "and there's something you need to know." Tom held me as applause started, slow at first from Clara, then spreading through the remaining guests. It wasn't celebration, it was solidarity. I was still shaking, tears ruining my makeup, when Tom looked into my eyes with that quiet intensity. "Maggie," he said softly, "I'm not the man you think I am. Or rather, I am, but there's more." My stomach dropped. After everything, another secret? He took a breath. "I'm wealthy, very wealthy. Billions across properties, developments, investments worldwide." I stared, brain refusing the words. "What?" "Over 2 billion in assets," he repeated calmly. "I built it from nothing. Construction jobs, smart real estate buys, turning overlooked land into thriving communities. But after my first wife passed from illness 8 years ago, I saw how money poisoned relationships. People changed. Friends wanted loans. Women saw dollar signs. Even family tried to claim pieces. So I chose simplicity. Small home, old truck, plain clothes.
I wanted real love, not transactions. The room was hushed. Everyone listened, riveted. "That's why the modest life?" I whispered. "The apartment? Never letting me pay?" "Exactly. I needed someone who cared about me, not my wallet. And I found her. You treated me with dignity from day one. You laughed at my stories, cooked for me, never judged my worn jacket. You loved the man, not the money." Tears welled again, but different ones. Relief. Wonder. Why tell me now? Because I needed you to choose me without knowing, to see Victor and Lena's real colors when they believed I had nothing. You defended us. You chose love over approval. That's everything. I covered my mouth. Victor, he insulted a billionaire, publicly. Tom smiled sadly. The money doesn't change what he did, or who you are. Clara rushed over, supporting me as dizziness hit. "Breathe, honey." Questions flooded in. How? When? Tom explained. Started in building trades, saved obsessively, invested during downturns others feared. Built Harlan Enterprises, major developer of eco-friendly communities, hotels, affordable housing blocks. After losing his wife, he stepped back from the spotlight, let trusted executives run daily operations.
My attorney, Daniel Reese, is here. Tom nodded toward a silver-haired man in row 10. He's managed things discreetly. Daniel gave a small wave. I'd barely noticed him before. "And now?" I asked, voice small. "Now we live honestly. No more hiding. You never worry about bills again. But more than that, you have someone who treasures you exactly as you are." The minister, a kind elderly man, approached gently. "Shall we finish?" I looked at Tom, at the supportive faces around us. Yes. The ceremony resumed, rings exchanged, vows reaffirmed, kiss sealed amid genuine cheers. No mockery, only warmth. The reception transformed. Laughter returned, dancing started, toasts felt heartfelt. Friends confessed they'd long worried about Victor's treatment of me, but stayed silent. During dinner, Tom stood. "Thank you for staying. You witnessed courage today. Maggie defended her right to joy. I'm honored to call her my wife." More applause. "And yes," he added, "some of you heard my confession. To be clear, I'm founder of Harlan Enterprises. After losing my first wife, I hid my wealth to find authenticity. I found it in Maggie. She loved me thinking I had little. That's worth more than any fortune." He lifted my hand. "I promise to cherish her, protect her, and build a life of meaning together." The ovation shook the room. But even amid joy, my thoughts drifted to Victor, his rage as he left. What would he do when he learned the truth? Our first night as husband and wife was surreal. The hotel suite overlooked twinkling city lights, vast, luxurious, yet Tom's gentle presence made it feel like home. I sat on the balcony in my robe, mind spinning. "Still processing?" Tom asked, handing me tea. "Everything. The humiliation, the banishment, then this," I gestured at the opulence. He sat beside me. "Nothing between us changes. I'm still the man who fell for your kindness at that community garden sale. Remember when you helped me pick up spilled herbs even though your back hurt?" I smiled faintly. That small act had started everything. "But it does change things," I said. "Money changes everything." "Not us," he insisted. "We choose how to live. Simply, extravagantly, charitably, your call." I leaned against him. "Why me, Tom? You could have anyone." "Because you're real. You saw me, not my potential bank balance, not my status, just me." We kissed, and for a moment, pain receded. Next morning, Tom suggested a flight, not commercial, a private helicopter. I laughed nervously as we lifted off. "Learned years ago, handy for site visits." He pointed below. "That eco-village? Mine. Built sustainable homes for moderate-income families. Another turn, the oncology wing at Mercy Hospital, donated in my late wife's name.
free care for those who can't pay. My breath caught. He'd used wealth for good, quietly.
We landed at Harlan Enterprises headquarters. Modern, welcoming. Employees greeted Tom warmly, not fearfully. In the boardroom, Daniel Reese waited with documents. "Welcome, Mrs. Harlan," Daniel said kindly. Tom's prepared transfers, joint accounts, property deeds, a coastal cottage, downtown condo, lakeside cabin, plus a personal trust starting at $40 million. I nearly fainted. "Tom, no! You're my wife. What's mine is yours. And your grandchildren," Tom added. "Trusts of $8 million each at 25 for education, startups, whatever they dream." Tears came. Despite Victor's cruelty, Tom honored my family ties. We toured offices. Tom introduced teams, explained profit sharing, training programs. "Treat people right, the business thrives," he said simply. By evening, back at the suite, I was overwhelmed. "I cleaned offices your company probably owns, and you were this?" Ironically, yes, but I never lorded it. I lived quietly to find truth. "And Victor?" I asked finally. Tom sighed. "Daniel's kept tabs, not to spy, but to understand. Your son's in financial trouble. Overspending, bad investments, debts mounting. After the wedding, some partners pulled back." My heart clenched. How bad? Close to $1.8 million. Some creditors unsavory. Panic rose. My grandchildren. Safe, discreet protection in place. And Victor knows? 3 days ago, someone showed him an article naming me among top regional developers. He recognized my photo. Since then, multiple messages. Tom showed his phone. Messages ranged from regretting the misunderstanding to urgent business proposals to thinly veiled pleas mentioning family obligations and the grandchildren. No real apology to me, just requests for help. Rage and sorrow mixed. "He's not sorry for hurting me, only sorry he didn't know you were rich." Tom nodded. "Exactly." I stared at the city lights. Maternal instinct screamed to rescue him, but another voice, the one that had finally stood up, knew better. "Don't help him yet, not without change." Tom hugged me. "Your call, always." We honeymooned on a secluded coastal retreat Tom owned. White sands, turquoise waves, total privacy. I tried to soak in the joy, but worry gnawed at me. Daniel updated us regularly. Victor's car was repossessed, accounts frozen, house headed to foreclosure. Lena had left, taking the kids to her parents and filing for divorce. "He's spiraling," Daniel reported. "Heavy drinking, isolation. Tried pitching his story to tabloids. Mother abandons struggling son for rich husband." Tom's team shut it down fast, armed with wedding footage showing Victor's behavior. Hearing that hurt worst. My son reduced to selling our pain for cash. "I need to face him," I told Tom one evening on the deck. "Are you ready?" "No, but I need closure." 3 days later, I stood outside a rundown building in a struggling neighborhood I'd once known well. Tom waited in the car with security. I knocked. Victor opened, unshaven, hollow-eyed, clothes stained. The apartment reeked of stale alcohol and despair. "Mom?" His voice cracked. Tears started instantly. "You came." I stayed in the doorway. "I'm not staying long. I came to speak." He begged me inside, but I refused. "I know everything, Victor. The debts, the threats, Lena leaving, the messages to Tom." His face crumpled. "I'm ruined. I need help, please. They're dangerous people. And you came to me now because you're my mom. Because I messed up, badly." I crossed my arms. "If Tom had been poor, would you be sorry? Or only because he's wealthy?" He flinched. "I was wrong. Jealous. Scared. Drunk. I see that now. You ignored me for years. Used me. Humiliated me when I found happiness. And your first thought was money." He sank to his knees. "I'm sorry. Truly. I lost everything. But losing you hurts worst."
I felt tears threaten. "You lost me when pride and greed mattered more than family." He sobbed. "I'll change. Please, one chance."
"Words are easy," I said. "Prove it." I handed him Daniel's card. "Call him. He'll protect you legally, guide bankruptcy, shield you from harm, but no bailouts from us. Not yet." His hope flickered. "And after?" "That depends on you. Real change. Not for money, for yourself, for your kids." "And the kids? Can I see them again? Can they see you?" "I'll speak to Lena, but it's her call too." He clutched the card like a lifeline. "Will you ever forgive me?" "I want to," I admitted, "but you have to earn it." I left him there, broken, but perhaps finally awake. Months passed in a blur of adjustment. Tom and I settled into a seaside home he designed with my input. Simple elegance, ocean views, room for guests. I walked beaches at dawn, still marveling at the shift from scraping by to security. Daniel updated. Victor called him immediately. Bankruptcy filed cleanly. Creditors negotiated down. No violence. Protection worked. Lena agreed to supervised visits with the kids eventually. Victor started entry-level work at a building firm. Ironic, given Tom's history. He lived modestly, attended financial recovery groups. Then, one morning, Clara called excitedly. "Turn on the local news." Victor was on screen, speaking at a community center. "A year ago, I lost my home, marriage, savings. Worst, I nearly lost my mother. I valued things over people, treated her terribly. She let me fall. At first, I blamed her. Now, I thank her. That tough love saved me." He spoke of materialism's traps, rebuilding slowly, weekly calls with me, hard but honest. Tears fell as I watched. Tom held me. He's trying. A handwritten letter arrived weeks later. No requests, just remorse, apologies for years of selfishness, for letting Lena's influence poison us. I cried reading it. Tom supported me silently. I gave Victor my number. First calls were tense, long pauses, raw pain. But we persisted. Weekly, 30 minutes, truthful. The grandchildren reunion came slowly. Lena allowed short visits. Seeing Miles and Sophie again melted me. Tom played with them gently, teaching respect for all people, regardless of wealth. One beach day, Victor said quietly, "Thank you for not rescuing me. It forced me to grow." I replied, "Parents don't abandon, but sometimes they step back so you can stand." Tom and I launched the Harlan Maggie Initiative, support for older women facing family abandonment or financial hardship, counseling, housing aid, community. Born from my pain, turned to purpose. Exactly 1 year after our wedding, Tom and I renewed vows privately at home. Only true friends, Clara included, and Victor, with Miles and Sophie. The garden glowed with string lights, simple, meaningful. Tom took my hands. "Last year, I promised forever without you knowing my full story. Today, knowing everything, I promise again. Love, respect, partnership, always." Victor approached afterward. "Mr. Harlan, I never apologized properly. You gave my mom dignity when I didn't. Thank you." Tom shook his hand. "Past is past. Focus on who you are becoming." That night, lying beside Tom, I reflected. A year earlier, public shame, family fracture. Now, love, security, healing ties, purpose. "What are you thinking?" Tom asked. "That everything led here. The pain taught me strength, brought me you. You're remarkable, Maggie." "No, just a woman who learned strength was her only option." Time softened edges. Victor continued improving. Promoted at work, consistent co-parenting therapy with Lena, regular talks with me. No more entitlement, genuine effort. The grandchildren visited often. Sophie called me Nana Mags. Miles asked Tom endless questions about building things. We swam, baked, told stories. Ordinary joys made precious. Victor paid back the small amount Tom had quietly covered years earlier. Every cent, earned through overtime. When I texted,
I'm proud of you. His reply was simple. That means everything. We met monthly. Coffee, walks, honest conversations. No money discussed. Just family rebuilding. The foundation grew. Helped dozens of women find stability, community. I spoke at events, sharing how dignity matters more than dollars.
Tom remained grounded, still drove his old truck sometimes, still volunteered at habitat sites. Wealth served purpose, never defined him. One evening, watching sunset with Tom, I realized peace I'd never known. No more loneliness, no more invisibility, just love, earned. Pain revealed truths. Victor now mentors others on financial responsibility, shares his story without seeking pity. My mother showed me love isn't weakness, he tells groups. Sometimes it's letting someone face consequences so they can rise stronger. Our relationship isn't perfect. Scars remain, but weekly calls continue. Forgiveness grows slowly, steadily. Miles and Sophie thrive, secure futures ahead, loved by grandparents who show them values beyond wealth. Tom and I travel modestly sometimes, visit projects, spend quiet evenings. Money enables good, hospitals, scholarships, housing, but never overshadows us. If I could speak to that broken woman at the altar, I'd say, your pain has purpose. Defend your worth. Love will find you, and family, real family, can heal, but only with truth and effort. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and comment your city and time. I love connecting with you all. Share your thoughts below. New stories drop daily. For now, that's my tale. From heartbreak to healing, from silence to strength. And I wouldn't change a thing. What an incredible ride. See you in the next one.